kill him!
Hey, people shoot at each other in stop-motion movies just as they do in hand-drawn ones and live action. And sooner or later, your stop-motion characters will shoot it out just as mine did in the early days. Though, maybe you can do better than scratching on 8mm film? Let's have a look at how you can do some in-camera gun and laser effects. Your character just needs to aim and fire. Well, maybe we should study some movie references. Basically, gunshots happen really fast, and the gun recoils. Looking at shots frame by frame, there is a big muzzle flash for 1 or 2 frames, a little smoke, and the gun jolts back immediately. Animated gunshots follow this formula as well, perhaps exaggerating the recoil for effect. They were shooting at each other all the time in old Warner Brothers cartoons, and those shots exploded in just 1 frame with lots of follow-through. They would even have the gun barrels squash for an instant. So I'm going to try that by making a small series of replacement barrels. To create muzzle flashes, you could add them as overlays in After Effects, creating light flashes and laser beams. But for this tutorial, we're going to look at effects you can do in front of the camera. First, cut out flashes on bright paper, such as fluorescent cardstock. Cut out a bunch so you have some choices. To make them glow, you can use a flashlight. Really bright flashlights. LED flashlights are best. You can create mounts for them if you don't want to hold them during the exposure. Cotton can work as puffs of smoke. Be sure to set your camera or Stop Motion Pro to manual exposure so the camera app doesn't adjust for the additional light. And go easy on the intensity of the light so the flash effects show up well. Also, shoot at 24 frames per second so the flashes are as fast as they were in the live action reference. You can animate the characters at 2 frames per move, as they take aim, but make the gunshots happen in just 1 frame. So for that gunshot frame, move the gun straight back for an instant, powerful recoil, using that barrel squash if you're going for that cartoony effect like that. The shooter could even close their eyes on the same frame. Use sticky wax on the paper flash to stick it to the barrel of the gun. Then hit the flash with intense light from the flashlight. It's great if you can get it to glow mostly white with some yellow around the edges. I'm aiming a second flashlight at his face to brighten up the effect even more. Then on the next frame, the gun moves back more and a smaller flash is used with a little less light from the flashlights. Then going back into 2s, or 12 moves per second, the shooter and the gun move back some more, and there's a couple of frames of smoke as the light quickly returns to normal. Then the gun and the shooter move forward. Let's talk a little bit about sound effects. Find a really sharp, snappy sound. For best results, layer the sound if you're editing in a program with multiple soundtracks. Combine perhaps a cannon, 2 gunshots, and a sweetener like a ricochet. That's better. Now let's talk about a machine gun. Single framing through the reference, we can see that the flashes happen in 1 frame, they're smaller, and there's much less recoil. It often looks more like the gun moves side to side as well as a little back. Realistically animated machine gun fire follows the same thing. So Anna here wants to express her feelings towards Hans. Have a bunch of cutouts ready so they don't repeat. As before, give the gun a little jolt on the same frame as the flash, hitting the flash and the character with extra light. Following the reference, randomly have 1 or 2 frames between each flash. Anna is actually a better shot than this, but we don't want YouTube to demonetize this. Now for laser guns. Studying the reference, we can see that beams move very fast. They are in the shot for just 1 or 2 frames just to get the feel of the direction they're going. To make the beams, I painted dowels with bright reflective colors. The character takes aim, and on the blasting frame, there is the usual strong recoil, muzzle flash, and extra lighting. Then the beam itself is lined up with the direction of the gun and hit with its own light. Hitting it with colored light would have looked good. Budget cuts. Then in the next frame, the gun recoils more and we see the laser beam exiting the frame. Then a frame with a small flare and some smoke, and 2 frames of just smoke. Experiment with different timing of flare and smoke, but keep it fast and snappy. The rapid fire that Zerg is doing here has a few frames between each shot. We can go for that timing as well by having the gun recoil and level out again quickly, still having the laser beam appearing on screen for just 2 frames per shot. Go ahead and experiment with your own effects, like adding additional muzzle flare, full frame flashes like James Cameron, crazy light effects, silly gags, impacts, ricochets, and horrible acts of meaningless violence. Have at it, and thanks for watching.